up straight, everybody, except for animals, non-humans. Sit up straight and tall. Sit high enough that those hip sockets relax. Stretch your hip sockets. Release the length of your bones. Let your bones lengthen. In the very long-term picture, the bones themselves do change shape. But what you're doing now is rearranging your nervous system and your muscles. The length of the muscle helps you create the full extension of the bone. The bone extends, just think of long bones. Bones extend toward their joint extremities. Long bones do that pretty obviously. But round or odd-shaped bones, like pelvis bones or sacrum or shoulder blades or skull bones, they also will say expand toward their joints. So your pelvis bones expand up toward their joining with your spine and down to that same bone actually joins with your butt bone. So down and up. The same pelvis bone expands toward the hip socket. So there is it's an odd-shaped bone. It has several joints. It expands toward all of them. The sacrum has 4 joints below, above, to the right and left. It expands equally. Shoulder blades, they must spread away from the spine toward the arm bone. Same shoulder blade lengthens away from the shoulder socket, away from the skull. It should feel expansive. Sit up straight, join your palms, relax your breath. Soften the ear, the hearing. Draw the attention in. In this way, pay homage to your practice. With your attention, pay homage to your practice and to that root teacher, Patanjali. Bow your head. Release your hands. Raise your head. Open your eyes. Okay. Stretch your legs. Change the crossing. Opposite shin first. Now stretch your arms to your sides and lengthen your bones. So you're stretching toward your fingertips, toward your elbow. toward your elbow, toward the shoulder. So your joint, each joint feels secure because it's being it's being secured from both sides. Lift your ribs, stretch your arms. The joint can expand when those bones finish lengthening, expanding. The joint has space. It's very peculiar. Raise the arms off the floor. The thing that's going to keep you expanding is maintain the lift of the ribs, and it's the shoulder blades. It's the collarbones that have to lengthen. Now spin the arm. Sit down, lengthen your buttocks, your vertebra, and take your arms up. Make your vertebra grow down and up. Some of you know you've been reading about the history of Hatha yoga and yoga in general. And this is a very, very, well, let's say take one arm down. Arm of choice. Take one arm down. It is an act of devotion, concentration, deep practice to do this for the rest of your life. So take the other arm up. We aren't going to do it for the rest of your life. I'm just linking what we do way, way back. This is a profound act. Make it feel like it. Release, come out. Keep that height. Keep that growth. Turn to your right. Hold your left knee. Take your right arm behind you. Roll the shoulder back. The upper arm deltoid skin, muscle bone. Roll it back. The left arm levers downward. Broaden that shoulder blade. Take that shoulder blade down so your chest can lift and move into any amount of twist, any amount, and come out. Sit straight. If you twisted the pelvis, fix it. Sit straight. Notice that twist has left a mark, an effect. Change sides. Keep the buttock bones evenly lengthening toward the floor so the balance on those two buttock bones is the same. Lengthen those two pelvic bones the same. The one that seems to need lengthening is the one you're turning away from. It needs lengthening to get to the ground. The one you're thinking less about, it also needs lengthening. Draw up that left side, sit down that left buttock bone, and turn. and come out. Now, stretch your legs. Then have a seat on the floor and get 2 bricks. And this is where I'm just remembering something that I heard Abhijata Iyengar say. Take the heaviest bricks you own. Work with heavy bricks if you've got them. Not foam bricks, wood bricks, and if you've got ebony heavy bricks, you should use them. Heavy bricks, heavy wood is good. Okay, so first things first, stretch your legs straight. Put your palms on the floor. I'm going to turn on a diagonal. Okay, put your palms on the floor a little bit in front of your hips. Push down with straight arms and lift your spine up. Look forward-ish. Pull your hips up behind you. So have a seat again. Watch from the side. There's a cat in the way, so I have to. Okay, so when I come up, I want my hips to be behind me. Okay, I'm not lifting this way. Not this way. I'm pushing back. Okay. Now, if there is no lift off, use the bricks underneath your hands. If lift off is not happening, bring those bricks. Stretch your arms. You'll already be perhaps lifted off the floor. Great. Now push. When you're pushing those hips back and lifting, you got to use the shoulder blades too. Yes, good, good. It's happening. All right. Onward. Watch. Something different, yet related. Sit cross-legged and don't use your arms. Sit cross-legged. Okay. Then use bricks. Don't use bricks. First thing, hands slightly forward. Straighten your arms. Grow those shoulder blades. Pick your knees up. Pick your feet up. And fall back down. So this is different from tucking your hips back, right? What we just did in Dandasana looked like this. What we're doing right now looks like this. Not butt up, knees up, then feet up, or use bricks. So it's a forward tuck. The crossing of the ankles, make a good faith effort, side 2. Pull the knees up tall, way up close to the chest. Then see if you can somehow scoot the feet off the floor. Come out. Okay. So frustrating, but There you go. This is what is. Now, watch this one. I'm using bricks. Okay, so I'm going to use the bricks, pick up the hips, bend your right leg, my left, but your right leg, and as quickly as you can, tuck it underneath you and sit on it. Then come up, unhook that foot, come out. Side two, other foot, tuck it in and sit on it. No hands. And untuck it. Tuck the other leg. Hands on bricks. You got to sit on it, not just put it under your thigh. So you do need the hands. You want to be sitting as for Ardha Matsyendrasana. So if you just tuck this foot forward, you, with no hands, you have to find a way of getting your buttock over that foot. I think you need your hands on bricks. When I say no hands, I mean don't help your feet. Don't help the legs. Okay, you've done this several times each side. Okay. You know, I said at the beginning that I'm looking at the like oldest asanas anybody knows about in Hatha Yoga. And apart from these seated postures that we all know, Siddhasana, Virasana, Padmasana, there are abdominal poses that really work that abdominal energy. That's one category. Another category is inversions, including headstand. They'll do Shirshasana 2 in old sculpture. Okay, so I'm exploring the importance of this abdominal work. Okay, last bit of abdominal work. The cat's got to move. Okay, so let's see. You need a lot of room, head to toe. Lots of room, head to toe. And you will stretch your arms out and you grow those pelvic bones away, spinal bones, shoulder blade, arms, hands, feet. Stretch your legs. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Again, this is abdominal work with the knees bent. Observe the condition of the spine. Bring the muscle close to the spine into contact with it. So you want to feel like the side walls of the abdomen are coming down next to the sides of the spine. Draw your knees up. The middle part keeps breathing, but the sides of the navel, sides of the abdomen come down. I'm not saying your lumbar smush the floor. That's a separate matter, but stabilize this front spine. Now, exhaling, stretch your legs to vertical. Keep the sides of the navel anchoring the spine. Even below the navel, that same line anchors the sacrum. Now, exhaling, keeping that stability, it's independent of your breath. You do not have to hold your breath as these legs come down or go back up. You can keep breathing. Those fingers don't have to change position. Stretch your legs fully. Extend that leg toward the inner foot. Now, if you lose control before you land on the floor, you should just bend your knees. And so don't try to sustain control when those muscles aren't operating. The stretch of the leg is from the buttock bone to the heel. So there is never a loss of pelvic length when you stretch the knee. The idea is to do this pose without needing to adjust for recovery. Karen Carpenter, make sure that your feet head very slightly to your right. In fact, separate your feet hip width. Yes, your feet were skewed left. Now, join those feet at the center, okay? Don't push the right to the left. Push the left toward the right as you go back down. Lengthen the left side. This is better. Now, you're not centered quite, but I'm happy you're finding something different about both hips. Okay. Good. And hopefully that is a bit of a relief in the bursitis hip. I'll find out later. Okay, after you come up, oh, do stretch those legs. Do stretch the knee. Open that back of the knee. Okay. Are you all right? Okay. So, I lied. I got one more abdominal for you, but I'll show a beginner version of it again. She is really just being a bit close. Maybe it was the tornado watch last night. I don't know. Watch. My arms are perpendicular to my spine, and my shoulder blades are tucked flat on the floor and expanding downward toward their lower tips, outward toward the shoulder socket, always away from the spine and skull. My knees are drawn up. I'm using the sides of my calves to keep my ankles together and my knees together. So this lower leg is doing a lot of work. This allows the abdomen here to do less work and be more spacious. So I'm going to turn, and as I turn, these knees stay together, ankles, feet. but you can see there's a bit of a rotation, you might say. Keep your knees moving toward the elbow. There is compression and rotation. And come up and go the other way. Now, if you're bony in the pelvis and this feels unpleasant, put a blanket underneath your pelvis. Keep your knees together. This means the pelvis has more work to do in rotation. Bring your knees toward your elbow. Wake up those feet. Wake up those feet. Spread your toes. Keep the shoulders down. This is a small version of Jatara Parivartanasana. Jatara is the very middle of the trunk between the chest and the pelvis. It is that part with, fewer bony structures. It is the digestive sort of hearth in a very real sense. Now, one of you is opting to do the whole pose with straight legs. Those who choose this must absolutely keep the legs straight. Don't do a halfway job. Roll from the middle body. The toes come down, the legs stay, knees up toward the elbows. So if your legs were straight, your toes would touch your fingers. Or a little bit higher. When you're down, roll the ribs in the opposite direction. Keep that stability on either side of the navel as you turn. It's not a grip, it's an awareness. Now, after your last side, come to rest then. So why did they do all this abdominal work? They did it because they are very deliberately manipulating the pranas, the breath and energy of the body. That's exactly what they're doing. So along the way, there's benefit to the digestion, to the spine, to the muscles, to the joints, but what they're after is your prana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Here you are, first Adho Mukha Virasana, putting another form of squeeze on the abdomen and the breath. Now you come up, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and as you go, watch that abdomen that you've just been maneuvering so strongly. Lengthen your bones toward their joints. This is an instruction to the muscle as much as it is to the bone, as much as it is to your nervous system. Lengthen the spine. Raise or lower the heels as a way to experiment with making the most space in the abdomen that you've just been folding, turning. Like what the post office used to tell you not to do, fold and spindle. Use your breath. That is one interpretation of the word prana. Use your attention. That is the other meaning of that word prana. Stretch your legs fully. Open the backs of those knees, those hamstrings. Now, stretching your heels, calves to the floor. Walk your hands backward towards your feet. Taking your heels down, keeping your legs straight, being in half Uttanasana. Arms straight, legs straight, spine lengthening. Look at the condition of your abdomen. The two sides of the navel. Let them release toward the spine. Now, if the legs cannot straighten, get bricks. You may even take tall bricks. Floor extenders, so the leg can straighten. Okay, release, come up. So now we're gonna do two standing poses. And one is gonna actually, we're gonna do a space-making pose first, and then we're gonna do another one of these abdominal poses. So you may use a wall behind you for support or not. You can use a chair, you can use a brick. It's Ardha Chandrasana. So if balance is an issue, go near a wall with your back to the wall. So if you're at the wall, your approach is a little bit abbreviated, staying close to the wall. You take a short stance, bend your knee, take your hand forward so you're right in that tipping place, and come up into Ardha Chandrasana. Of course, your hand can be on a brick as need be. Standing legs straight. So this brick can be, again, as high as it needs to be to make it so you can keep things long and open. Stretch the lifted leg so much that you put a kind of draw on that side of the pelvis. From the buttock to the heel, you draw. So you open up that side of the navel, that line. Come out. Bend the knee. Stay facing away from the wall. And step back up the way you entered the pose. Then you come up. Move your props. Take your feet as they need to be short distance, And you keep yourself facing away from the wall. Don't go forward into this pose. Go laterally into, you can look, but don't drop that shoulder. And you go forward and you come up, taking whatever height you need. When this hamstring is short, you will curl your trunk to come to the floor, and it's not spacious. You have to come up higher so that the leg can straighten and you can recover all your length. Open that abdomen. Tall, tight hips, tight hamstrings, tall brick. Point that standing foot straight, parallel to the sticky mat. Yes. And take that outer thigh back. Stretch the top leg. Open that chest. And come out. So when you have some form of support, there's as far as I can see, one, possibly two of you who are not working with anything but a brick. And this makes the time I spend in these poses very long for you. For those who have some extra form of support for balance, you don't need necessarily to come out as fast. Please protect yourself. Now, that was in theory a spreading pose, an expansive pose. Now I'm going to counter that again. So, yeah, watch this way. Here is a chair. I'm getting where my sticky mat is long and I won't be spreading two mats away from each other. And I'll turn this so it's a little more. Okay, so watch. This will be your right foot. Here's a chair in the vicinity of your right foot, left leg back. So if you see this sticky mat, my right foot, your right foot is on the edge, and the left heel also is on the edge of that mat. So my feet are lined up with each other. And I go straight. This chair is here. Now, you've got to lengthen your bones to bring this pelvis around square and forward. You have to lengthen this bone, same way. Now, I bend my right knee so the thigh comes down parallel to the chair seat. Keep that, you see this back here? My back heel is still on the floor. But the thing that's keeping it, the thing that is on the floor is the inner back heel, not the outer. This is me trying to keep the outer heel down. Don't worry about the outer heel. Roll this hip and push the inner heel. So you come forward, put your elbow on your right knee, brace with your left hand on the chair seat, and turn your abdomen against your right thigh. Take that support of the chair. Keep your hip, Karen, from sitting on the chair. If it's sitting, wait, Karen, I don't object actually. Go ahead, sit on the chair, but sit on it straight. Not your hip back, but your hip straight and your foot straight, okay? And then go to work. turn toward the chair. Stretch that inner heel to the floor. Turn your heel toward the camera, Marsha. Turn that heel, yes, beyond the big toe base joint. Roll the heel. There you go. And stretch it. That's it. That is the action. How lovely. And turn the ribs. Good. Come out. Roll that heel. Okay. Come out. Turn your feet. Stand up straight. Be in Tadasana. Karen, are you safe? Okay. Take side 2.
When I do that, unless I separate my legs, I twist my back knee.
That's the tip being tight. Do not permit the knee to hurt.
Okay.
But do stretch, work, focus on what the hip is doing, not doing.
Okay.
And protect your knee, absolutely. Okay, side 2. Anchor the inner right heel, bend the left knee straight forward. Don't let that knee come in, Karen. Cut your left hip, Karen in Paris. Cut your left hip in. Don't let your left hip go over the chair seat if your left knee is not on top of the chair seat. Your left thigh should be parallel to the chair. Bend your knee some more, gay. Yeah. Oh, fight the good fight. Roll those ribs. Don't look back. Keep your head in line with the pose. When you forget your shoulder blades, the head starts wandering. So turn, Chaya, toward your back wall. There you go. Thank you. Come out, please. Carefully turn the feet. Okay.
Devon, if I turn more, my heel is coming up like this. If I turn more, my back leg heel is coming up, not on the floor. Heel coming up like that.
I see it. I see it. And you've got this, you've got the human condition.
Okay.
And excuse me, I suggest the way you work on it is in a kind of, how shall I say, back and forth fashion with support, but back and forth. The chair is towards you, so you see this back heel here. So I'm turning, and to really turn, the heel comes up. Okay, fine. So let me turn. Okay, now keep allowing that turn to diminish, but reluctantly, I bring that heel back down. See my ribs turning, the pose changes. Fine. I'm trying to stretch that heel down. Push this knee forward, stretch that heel back. The pose does what it does, but I'm trying to build more pose. Now I turn and I lose the heel less. And I fight again, back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. Do you see? Back and forth. Each time you try to, each back, you try to gain ground with that limb. And each fourth, you try to gain ground with the other. And each time you learn something. Okay. Do you want to try that, Chaya? We need to move forward, but it is worth a try. Some of you are trying, so please, all of you try. And those who are sitting on the chair, and instead of just working in parallel to it, make sure that that front foot is working. And you turn. So Chaya, which way are you going? Are you twisting? It's opposite elbow to knee, not same side elbow, opposite elbow. Bend your knee, gay.
My heel is.
Devon,
Gay's heel is coming up. Then you've got the same back and forth. Chaya, how's it going? Gradual working space into that outer hip, into that groin. So back and forth, Gay, roll that heel down from the top thigh. Nobody twist the knee. Work from the groin.
Yeah, if I work from here, from the top thigh, it's going down. If I stretch
much more.
Yes.
here, my quads.
That is it. That is
thank
it.
you. Thank you so much. I got it.
That really helps.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't know what to call it. In Patanjali talks about this idea of pratipaksha bhavanam, and it's in the context of if something's going wrong, do the opposite. So there's that, and that gives us the hint that in our practice, if an effort is not playing out the way you wish it to, if it's not yielding the right result, try something different, see what you get, then go back and forth. This is how you learn about what's going, if something's going wrong, try the opposite.
Devon, I call it robbing Peter to pay Paul, right?
That's if you keep trying to make something work, you keep causing suffering somewhere else. Yeah. Yes.
This is more like a give and a take, right? Well, and no, not really. It's like,
well, you're
finding one axe, and then from that axe, you're finding the other.
You're not, my interpretation is you're not waging total all-out war against the thing that is not behaving right. You're trying to understand it, so you give it some room, and then you ask for some room very politely, and then you give it some room, you ask for some room. So it's a very diplomatic approach, if you ask me. Very persistent, but very diplomatic. If you just hold that heel down, well, some people do. Some people do. Some people find a way through. You can't find a way through. Try something different. Let's see. Adho Mukha Svanasana one more time. And it's not just any old thing you try. You don't just like flail when something goes wrong. Pratipaksha Bhavanam is a full-on effort. It's not a random effort. It's a thought out, planned, considered. Come out, do your best version of Shirshasana or your approach to it, your preparation for it. So preparation, a gentle preparation might be Prasarita Padottanasana. A little more strenuous, you take a combination Adho Mukha Svanasana with Shirshasana arms, and you work toward a genuine inversion. And feel free to raise a leg up so that you invert at least half of you at a time. Now, those who go up 2 legs at once, or 1 leg at a time, since we've done all this abdominal work, be aware of the effects of the movement of the legs on the abdomen, tucking, extending. Stretch those legs as you go up. Okay, take your feet to your left. Good. That's straighter. They could go slightly more. Now push with both forearms. Adjust from the base. Study in this pose, whichever version you're in, how that abdomen and pelvis are breathing. The abdomen and pelvis that we worked on. Separate the feet 1 foot apart, hip width. Broaden the back thighs. Broaden between the groins. Stretch the outer thighs up to the outer heel. Relax and broaden the groins. Spread the sacrum. Lengthen the pelvis bones. If you grow your pelvis bones properly, the middle buttock comes in by itself. You don't have to grip and fight. Expand the joints. Observe the sides of the navel. When you rejoin, and if you rejoin the legs, the effort should not cause the groins, abdomen to become narrow. When you come out, whether it's straight legs or bent legs, can you first fold in half? So with bent legs, that means you're in Virasana, your thighs are against your abdomen. before your feet touch the floor. So you're in this long spine, folded hip position. If you're halfway, you stop in Urdhva Dandasana. And then come out. Stretch those legs. And come down. Rest your head. And come up and sit on a blanket or the floor, your choice, in, how shall we sit? Swastikasana once again. So if your spine has no trouble being upright comfortably, please sit cross-legged. Sorry, your right foot first, your left foot second. Sit up straight. Okay. Turn to the right. We've been here before. Okay. Lengthen those pelvis bones, leg bones, vertebra, arm bones, shoulder blades. Away from the spine. Shoulder blades. Away from the skull. Shoulder blades. Spread. Come out. Return to the center. Fix if you went crooked and change sides. So this is just warming up here. And come out. Now, can you take your right hand around and catch your left thigh? If you can't do that, if that's just not happening because it feels like your arm is too short or some such not true thing, you can just put a strap around your thigh and catch it, catch both sides of it. So you've caught something. You need to catch something firmly. So Karen, you just take that strap, you just put it around your thigh. You have a loop, you sit cross-legged, reach around, catch that loop. Come out, change sides. Sit up straight, stretch that arm, stretch that chest, bring it around with as much space as you can. Let me show you how I get there. It works very well for me. You can stretch your arm up to get some space in this side of the trunk. But when it comes back, there has to be this outward expansion, this downward expansion. And when you come around, I start high and I go diagonally down toward that hip. And I turn. And come out. So most of you got real close there. Are you doing okay? Nothing's going wrong. Okay. Stretch your legs. with the minimum support, which could include none, but it could include some. This is up to you. Tuck your feet to the side. Karen, just sit on a chair. Chair Bharadvajasana. You can even sit through the chair, front to back, put a sticky mat on the chair seat and sit through it. The rest of you, always the twist is away from the feet, just so we're clear. So your first effort, I'm going to make some modifications. You've got to take this groin down, inner thigh, and this outer thigh down. This side down. This side up. This side down. Okay, sit up straight. Lengthen this buttock bone. This buttock is having a hard time lengthening. Lengthen it and turn. Take this simple turn, holding one knee. Turn away from your feet. So some of you are turning toward your right, some toward the left. I do not mind. I'll just keep going. Turn, lengthen the bones. Observe the two sides of the navel, those two lines. One is very, very long. The other one doesn't feel so long. Lift up the ribs so you become aware of that short line. Lengthen that backside pelvis to the backside ribs. Come out. Change sides. So the arms are not getting restricted now. They're sort of at the service of helping everything else. Roll that second thighs in, outer buttocks down, groins down, outer hips down. Lengthen the buttock. Use blankets when it's not that you have to arrive at level. You really won't arrive at level, but you've got to have some freedom there. Turn. Work for length in both sides. One is obviously lengthening. The other one, you have to lengthen your bones and muscles for. And come out. Go back to the first side. Now we're going to try the clasp. So if you feel like the only thing that was keeping you upright was your hands pushing on the floor, you don't have their help anymore. And you should take a blanket, just enough that you can let go with the hands. Are you ready? Okay. So you have to let this hand stay back. This arm will go up tall. You'll lengthen all of your bones. Don't just push out to the side, stretching the surface. Come in so you're working close to the spine, either side of the navel. Then this arm comes down and it goes diagonally to catch this elbow. Now, you got no help for balance but your own base. To do the twist, this hand either goes to the first leg inner thigh, or if more turning is possible in this middle body, you go to the outer thigh and turn. Your back ribs are being moved. hold the chair. Actually, Karen, great, but slide that foot, that hand, sorry, the hand out that thigh towards your knee. Yes. Yeah, catching it with the other hand. Measure both sides of the navel. Breathe equally in both sides. Send that back leg buttock down and come out slowly. Release the hands, release the spine. Stretch your legs straight. And if you need support for side 2, by all means, arrange for it. Inner thigh of the ground leg, outer thigh of that lifted leg, lengthen your bones. All of them, not just the obvious ones. This side pelvis clearly needs to come down. Thigh bones need to lengthen. This shin, this virasana shin really needs to lengthen. That foot needs to lengthen. Okay, stretch up the ground leg thigh, whole side of the body. So if you are so rolled to the side that you can't come back in and stretch that spine and get this buttock down, you need a support under the hips. Okay, keep this elbow back, take the hand around, move it diagonally to catch your elbow. Sit there for a second and see what's happening. Then this hand comes either to the inner thigh, and that elbow straightens to bring you toward your twist, or it crosses over, or it does a little of one and then shifts to the other. Shoulder back, ribs moving. This forearm against your back ribs is moving those ribs forward, making your abdomen and pelvic region lengthen. Turn, stretch that elbow, that arm against your thigh. Stretch that elbow. It makes your chest move. Makes that navel region expand and turn. Come out. Stretch both legs. Okay. So make sure you have 2 bricks. Or 3, but at least 2. Right over here is a wall against which I will put a brick. Or 2, 1 for each foot. Hip width. That's 2 bricks. In which case you need a 3rd brick for your hips. Now, I put a blanket for underneath my neck and shoulders. So you need to figure out length from the wall, put a brick under your sacrum and stretch your legs out to that wall. When you do this for like 10 times in a row, you learn quickly where to put your blanket and where to lie down, not too close, not too far. So I have 1 foot on the floor and I'm just making sure my both bricks are in the right place. Then 2nd leg stretches. So you want to be level from the pelvis to the heels. One or two bricks under the feet. If it's one, the legs are necessarily closer together. So the brick under the hips wants to be as high as that under the heels, not lower, unless you've got a particular problem. Roll those shoulders, lift the ribs, stretch the backs of the arms away from the head. So those shoulder blades have their same job to do. That expansion job from the center toward the shoulder sockets and away from the skull, keeping the sides of the neck and throat long. Soft throat. Relax the jaw, throat, tongue, roof of the mouth, back wall of the mouth and throat. Now, most of that surface is not muscular, but the tongue and its root is all muscle. So really the biggest job in that neighborhood is to relax the tongue. Relaxing the lower jaw in large measure involves relaxing the tongue. Don't just relax the tip of the tongue. Relax the way deep down root. The part of this tongue you use to say g, g, g. That letter G, that's way down. Let that tension in the tongue that makes that sound go. So that that whole throat, from the sinuses to the upper mouth, middle mouth, bottom of the mouth, down in the throat, all the way to the larynx. The sound is not g, but ah, ah, the letter A, ah, ha. Top to bottom. Okay, you can come out of this position. Keep your mouth and throat relaxed. It is a little past 8:15. Sorry, 9:15. It is 9:17. Which means you should be in Shavasana. And I will say Namaskar and proceed to my next class. Thank you.